Ho 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 ho! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Saturday Night Live!
It's Saturday Night Live with your musical guest, Style and Direction. We're doing music.
I hate that we're including this cold open for this, and there's gonna be another.
There's
cold
a cold open. There's two cold opens. It's freezing in here.
Yeah,
Someone left the fridge open.
Yeah, like open that fridge, baby.
Yeah.
But I just want to say at the top here, this is episode 70. It's not nice anymore, but
we forgot to mention in the last one, I think. So.
Yeah. But we are taking a bit of a break. Ethan and Spencer here, by the way. If we didn't introduce ourselves.
Another time when we didn't introduce ourselves.
Yeah, we're not. Hey, spoiler for the rest of the episode. We don't do that either. But we're taking a little bit of a break for the month of July. So for after this episode, there will not be a new episode of Style and Direction, other than a bonus episode that you'll get, which only for patrons, but you'll hear a preview of it. Mm-hmm. But for the month of July, there will be no podcast episodes. There will be stuff. There probably still will be streams. There'll still be essays from Ethan because I've got stuff going out. But we are taking a break from the Style and Direction mainline podcast for the month of July. We will be back in August for the regular episodes until the end of the year.
That's right. And our first episode back is the one on the Esquire man, correct?
That's right. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
We're going to be diving
into
that. And so if it's not good, well then it's blame the vacation.
Yeah.
I just want to let you guys know that because I don't think we'll say it, especially if you guys don't follow the podcast on Instagram, which you should. We'll be making this announcement again there as well on streams, but I want to let you guys know. So don't be surprised if there's no episode in July.
We've already told you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Play the opening credits, MJ. Musical guest.
Musical guest.
Hello, baby. Hello.
You're doing like... Okay, well, it started kind of NPR, but then it just got sexy at the end. Sexy NPR.
Sexy SNPR.
Hey, welcome everyone to NPR Over After Dark. I'm Terry Gross Penis.
What does over dark mean?
Over dark? Oh, it's just like over hard, like eggs, but
over penis.
You know, it's to say over penis. Yeah.
Terry Gross. Yeah, I mean, hey, Terry Gross. I mean,
yeah, more like Terry Gross Penis.
I was gonna say Terry Gross turns into Terry Nasty.
Yeah, I wish I knew other NPR hosts off the top of my dome. I mean, there's Ira Glass. What would Ira Glass be? Hi, I'm Ira Glass. Well, he's not really NPR. He's like, he's the Chicago public radio station. PRI, I think.
Yeah. It's like a moan almost. I don't think people moan like that. Well, also, to answer your question, it would be Ira Ass.
Ira Ass, okay.
Yeah.
Ira Gross Ass. Ira Terry Gross Ass.
It sounds like you're trying to say I have a gross ass, but like, Ira Gross Ass.
That's like the prank call name. If when I call my favorite bartender Mo, I'm like, hey, I'm looking for Ira Gross Ass. And then he shouts out to the bar.
Is there a Mr. Ira Gross Ass over here? Mr. Gross Ass?
Is that Hank Azaria? Did we get him on the podcast?
Yeah, I'm Hank Azaria. What? Oh, he only talks like Mo the whole time.
Yeah, that's his real voice. Every other interview where he doesn't sound like that, that's a character voice. It's like Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, what was the one where he like Howard Stern calls him? He's like, "Hey, you've reached you've reached."
Yeah, he just has
like,
yeah, you just call like there's Howard Stern or somebody calls his voicemail, and it's just a normal voice where it's like, "Hi, I'm Gilbert. Please leave a message." Famous parrot.
Affleck, duck it over here.
Yeah. What did he get fired for? Oh, it was like something about the tsunami in Japan, right? Or like the nuclear power meltdown.
I think it's something like, I think it was like just build your houses higher or something, and people got upset, and Affleck like dropped him.
And then he was didn't they get someone else like T.J. Miller, someone who also got canceled? I mean, Gilbert Gottfried didn't really get canceled. He just got fired from Affleck. Yeah,
T.J. Miller. No, he was the Mucinex thing like that, and then Mucinex dropped him. Yeah, it's also weird. Like I remember watching commercials back when commercials were a thing, and you don't just skip them or whatever.
Yeah, now there's no more ads. No one's making commercials anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah. But the that bee, that like the allergen, like like a bee,
yeah,
and I thought it was just someone doing an Antonio Banderas impression, but it's actually
the man
him
himself.
Just like how one of the first like apartment.com ads where it's like apartments.com, life finds a way, it's fucking Jeff Goldblum. I was like, wow, this is a really good Jeff Goldblum impression, and then I saw it on TV where no, he is literally the face of apartments.com.
He's on the billboards too.
Yeah, it's. I think it's because you remember like Seth MacFarlane's cartoon cavalcade where it was like
of course,
like pre Family Guy with like a bunch of shorts.
I don't think it was pre Family Guy, but it was like just entirely the like cutaway gags. It was all cutaway gags without the extra like context of the episode.
Yeah. Well, in that one, there is a guy who does a pretty good Jeff Goldblum impression, and it's the Jeff Goldblum like wafers.
Triscuit, right? Yeah.
It's very lithe, very lithe. But yeah, welcome everyone to Style and Direction, a menswear podcast without the stuffiness.
There's a reason we spent so much time up top talking about advertising and brands.
Yeah.
And that's because we're getting into, I don't know if this is like long awaited. I don't know if people have been clamoring for this, but we are getting into something that comes up a lot in discussions of menswear and fashion, and that is business attire.
Yeah, what do you wear for work, and how do you combine your love of menswear with the fact that you have to go to a job?
And so I think really quick, something to start out with, to say up front, this is going to be a different discussion than a lot of our other things, because like business attire is it has a entirely different purpose than menswear. Yeah. It's not fashion. It is pure. It's like functional. It's uniform. You're not supposed to stand out, or you're not supposed to pick things because they are the most flattering. It's,
this also might be one of the few
safe.
Ones. Yeah, exactly. This might be one of the few discussions where we have to be like, well, maybe you should check what the context is before you walk
absolutely.
out there.
Yeah.
We can't
this is not a discussion of personal. This is like not a discussion of personal style at all. This is explicitly not personal style.
But hey, maybe through the discussion we'll find out there might be ways to insert personal style in there. You guys have heard of Happy Socks. I mean, have
you heard of Happy Socks? If you go to Johnston & Murphy, you can get a great pair of tan dress shoes, and they're like $35.
Yeah, come on, guys.
They come with blue laces, and the soles, get this, it's like a sneaker. It's incredible.
Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't know, if this is your first time listening to this, my name is Ethan M. Wong.
Oh yeah, I'm Spencer. We didn't introduce ourselves.
It's one of those. I mean, we literally just had a discussion with Berkeley, not with him, but about his essay, which was annotating me, and we kind of talked a little bit about who the blog is for and who the podcast is for, and so sometimes we forget that there is maybe it's like a 1% chance that someone new has heard this, and they hear someone might, like maybe Kyoshi goes, hey guys, listen to this cool episode, and they have to listen through 5 to 10 minutes of like weird stuff at the top, and then we don't even know who we are. We don't even say our name.
We're at 6 minutes in the recording currently, about 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's what, like 10 to 15 now?
Yeah. I am very sorry for people who come to this for the first time. We promise this is a good podcast, and we hope that you will learn something. And by the way, also, I just want to say at the top too, this is our not the last one. We are taking a break in July. Maybe I'll add a little thing in the beginning of this, but for the month of July there will not be a podcast episode. There might be a bonus episode, but we will resume in August with bi-weekly episodes. And I apologize if you're hearing this twice because I might make a little thing in the beginning just as a notice because I don't want to make a housekeeping thing 7 minutes into an episode.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe people skip the first 10 minutes because they think it's all cold opens.
Yeah,
they don't want to hear us talk about Mucinex or Affleck or whatever.
Just you wait, guys. When we run out of the menswear things to talk about, like big,
and
topics,
we talk about the style of Mucinex.
Yeah, what is he wears like overalls,
plaid pants.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, it's plaid pants and like some like wife beater shirt, a fedora. I mean, Mr. Martin.
That's kind of like East Coast scumbro core, you know?
Exactly. Come on, we've been saying this. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about corporate attire, and also at the top, I want to say that Spencer and I don't work in an overly corporate setting. Yeah,
neither of us have jobs with like a dress code or uniform.
Exactly. I mean, number one thing too, if you don't know too much about us, we live in Southern California. There's already a casual work culture in general.
There are like very few people around us who wear suits for work.
Yes, exactly.
It's not very common.
Mm-hmm. It's all I can understand why a lot of people in California that we meet are hesitant to get into our hobby because they don't want to be perceived as like that guy. I think California has this culture of dress for the beach, man. I don't know.
That's what I mean. That's the California state motto.
Yeah, dress for the beach, man. Yeah, we'd make a shirt, please. And so basically, I mean, another thing that Spencer and I are pretty young compared to some other people who might be in like more corporate positions. Spencer and MJ, until recently they're still in school. I only started working at my current job since January, at least full time. And I work in I'm not in the creative department, but I work in for an entertainment agency, and that's not something you think of.
It's kind of creative.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you think of where you're like, oh, well, you can't wear brown shoes because you have to wear black. Like, no one, I'm pretty sure people wear, like, sneakers to work, I mean, first off, we're wearing pajamas to work because we're still in the Zoom world.
We're still in the Zoom, baby.
Yeah. Take me out, plug me out. Plug me out.
Plug me out, man.
Plug me in. But yeah, so, obviously, this is going to be... We don't really have any clout, just like anything we talk about, we don't really have clout or thunder behind what we're saying. These are things that maybe we've thought about or we've talked with a couple of our other friends who have, corporate jobs, but in general, we're not that tapped into like a true business world. Even the friends that we have that work in corporate jobs, they don't technically have to wear suits either.
Yeah.
So,
and even though this is not something that we have a lot of personal experience but with, like I said, this is something that comes up a lot in discussions of menswear and fashion. Yeah, I know that Ethan, when a lot of times when you post on like Reddit or whatever, you'll get comments from guys saying it's like, oh, this looks cool, but I could never wear this in my office, and don't seem to understand that you're not suggesting that you do.
Yeah.
Or just, people assume like everything that they buy, they want to be able to wear in the office. And so they never like experiment.
That's kind of a sad life to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, let's talk about like what we think corporate attire is. And again, we could be getting this wrong. This is just like with preppy attire, our vision of corporate attire is kind of based on what it's like postmodern. It's far removed from the actual thing. I mean, for me, right? Like all I can think of is like American Psycho, The Office, Mad Men, like because my parents my dad worked in the lab at a hospital, and maybe you wear like a button-up shirt and pants, but I'm pretty sure people still wear sneakers under their lab coat. It's I have no idea what like I don't.
Well, because I mean the business look in Southern California, what most people wear to the office. And I think we're going to discuss like business casual too. This is going to get more into it there. But it's like gingham or plaid shirts from like J. Crew or Banana Republic, like skinny either chinos or like blue, like electric blue wool pants, and then just like I said, the Johnston and Murphy fucking like sneaker shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
That's if you see people working in office in Southern California, that's what guys are wearing usually.
Yeah. Maybe they have a sport coat. Maybe they have a cardigan. It is. I don't want to say it's entirely influenced by like business casual, because like that's like a very like 90s thing. I wasn't alive in like the 90s. I mean, I was for like 5 years.
But you were a little baby.
Yeah, I was a baby. And I
didn't have a job.
Yeah, I mean, who would be like the corporate guy? Chandler, I think, from Friends. I think that's probably the closest thing there. And it's funny. I don't know if this is on topic or not, but like when I look at what Chandler is wearing, and maybe it's because Chandler's like the slacker, right? Like he doesn't care about his job. I'm still like, there's plenty of scenes of him in the office. He's a competent worker. He might just be lazy. But I feel like guys today would be like, oh, I could never wear that. And I'm like, dude, that's what people wore like all the time. Like people wore like 3-button jackets, double-breasted stuff, solid colored shirts, wine colored shirts, and then like a fucking funky ass like 80s, 90s tie. Like for a long time, that was what corporate attire kind of was. And I don't, again, this is based on pop culture, so I don't know.
Yeah, and okay, this is also pop culture, but if you watch movies or TV shows from the 70s, like business guys are still wearing like fucking like wild disco stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's almost a joke.
They're like wearing like, brown suits or like, crazy striped suits with like weird ties, all this stuff. And it's kind of interesting that business dress seems to have kind of gotten more boring or plain over the years.
And but yet it goes in conjunction with the fact that things have gotten more casual. Like I'm currently watching Seinfeld for the first time like ever in my entire life. I'm pretty sure I'm missing episodes because I just have it on before I go to sleep. And I know George dresses very like trad, and it's crazy. Like he's supposed to be like a boring dude, and I'm pretty sure everyone today would be like, I could never wear that to the office. Like a tweed jacket and gray pants with like a button down collar shirt
and like a knit tie. Yeah,
a knit tie. Like it's like whoa, and it even like there's like like Elaine has a boss wearing like a DB and like a
oh wait, is her boss Jay Peterman yet? Have you gotten to the point where she's working for the Jay Peterman company?
I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention too much, but it's and like today corporate attire has gotten into this weird nebulous thing, and maybe unintentionally, because when you talk to these guys, I almost feel sorry for them and how like they're so confused how to navigate this whole thing. Like apparently nothing works, and yet like people can wear J. Crew, but then some things they can't. Like it's just weird, And
yeah,
so to me, like a lot of what I wear, especially the more tailored stuff, bar the spear point collar, I feel like you could actually wear that, because in my mind I'm still dressing like what Spencer said, like what people wore in like the 80s and 90s. And there's some pictures in my show notes of like guys wearing like Bengal awning stripe shirts. There's a classic picture that Put This On posted of like 1990s GQ where it's like the Yuppie office attire, and they're all wearing like university striped shirts, kind of like geometrics, Macclesfield ties, and it's like that's what people wore. Like they wore that with like their fucking P3 lenses or middle parted hair, with their giant clunky ass phones on the trading floor. Like that's what it was, man. And it's baffling to me that we can't do that, or people feel that they can't do that. But to give them credit, when you look at what some like tailored guys in like Sweden do, they do, like those finance guys, they do technically have those ideas. Because like, so for me, when I look at like modern business attire, especially the guys in the menswear scene that are corporate, you do see like pinstripe suits. You do see sometimes, maybe not awning stripe, but like pencil stripe shirts, very small scale Macclesfield geometric ties from like Shibumi, or like English like matter ties or whatever. And I do think people do wear that, and what I do, or what Spencer and I do sometimes when we're dressing up, is just like maybe a slightly louder version of that. It's not to me, it's not too far off, but in my head, when you want to do menswear, that's what it looks like. But then again, when you look around, people either look like a J. Crew catalog but made more boring, or they look like they're from The Office. But show.
And I mean, it's I'm sure it helps being higher up on the corporate ladder now,
right,
being able to wear more, like quote unquote out there things. But yeah, it's so sad. Yeah, it's so sad that now everyone just does the fucking ugly ass tan shoes and gingham shirt.
Yeah.
Or wears something, just a boring Men's Warehouse, a boring Men's Warehouse suit with a white or like gray shirt or something.
Yeah.
And a plain tie. It just sucks.
It's really sad. Again, like, maybe it reminds me of how like the disappearance of dress codes makes things worse, in terms of like creativity and what you're able to wear.
Well, because that's something that I feel like people complain about all the time is how vague office dress codes are. People, and other people have made this point before, but one of the, and this is, not something that Ethan and I necessarily agree with, but one of the benefits of having a strict dress code in the office, like the suit or like just wearing a suit or anything, is there's no ambiguity about what you are supposed to wear. So maybe when there's less ambiguity, people feel more open to experimenting within that.
Right. I mean, I also, not just that too, but aren't like dress codes, like, this is off topic too, but like dress codes are kind of racist, right? Because it's kind of like projecting, maybe not racist, but like
well, they can be like it's obviously dress codes can be very discriminatory.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. That's the word I was looking for, because it's like, technically, right, like not everyone can wear a suit, so it's like trying to weed out the poor people maybe who quote maybe don't deserve the job. So I get that. And corporate culture again is such a weird nebulous thing now, where after years of the business suit dominating a lot of what Western wear is in general, it can be kind of tough. And that's also probably why we don't talk about it, because not only is it tough, but we just don't. This doesn't apply to our lives.
It doesn't come up. It doesn't come up for us at all.
Right. But yeah, let's kind of like more dive into this kind of thing where business dress, as you said, Spencer, serves a different function than menswear.
Yeah.
And by this, we technically mean that it's meant to fit in. It's meant to adhere to whatever nebulous dress code there is. And this is not technically new. We've read old Esquire magazine, like, or those apparel art stuff where they talk about business wear. They talk about what's appropriate for the office. Obviously these guys aren't wearing like leisure coats to the office, but there is a sense that, you are trying to conform like the fashions of the day to the office. Like they're like, oh yeah, this man is wearing like a nice crisp DB suit, and look at his cool foulard tie, I guess. It's fun to read some of this stuff, but the surprising thing is, just like in the 80s and 90s, there's a lot of leeway, more than you'd expect from like the 30s and 40s. It doesn't feel as formal. There's like a couple of stuff that I included where it's like visiting the boss, and like the young guy is wearing like a tweed suit, I think, and the boss is wearing like a DB, and it's kind of fun to see, like, to signal the youth, kind of like today with like hashtag menswear blogs. It's like, wear like a textured suit as opposed to a worsted or whatever, maybe wear a button down collar because that's what collegiate guys tend to wear or whatever. It's really interesting, but overall still, like, it's still about fitting into what this like formal, maybe formal is not the right word for it, but like this kind of conformist kind of mentality.
We both come from, collecting vintage, and so we've spent a lot of time looking at like how people dressed in the past. I don't think we should talk about, like, we should be clear that 30, 40 years ago, the office was not like a beacon of personal expression.
Yeah, exactly.
To be clear, like, even though maybe people had a little bit more leeway, or not even more leeway, maybe people were just a little bit more open to experimenting a little bit more, but it wasn't like a fucking fashion show. The office was never a runway.
Yeah, and again, also, like, we'll get into this when we come back from the month break. We're going to be talking about the Esquire man. It's also not like everyone followed Esquire either.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not everyone dressed like Esquire man. Like, there were still a lot of people in the 30s, 40s, whenever, who were wearing just dark worsted suits with white shirts and plain ties to work every day.
Exactly.
That's always been around.
And we're not really going to get into the history of this thing. I don't think it's really, we don't need to get into, like,
we
Mad
also
Men
don't,
and everything.
Yeah, we don't know a whole lot about
what corporate attire was. We'll leave that to the actual experts here. But like there is this sense of some ties were fun, like were worn for fun. Some ties were worn for work. Some suits, like sport coats. I mean, even if you look at Esquire stuff, I tried. There's not a lot of examples of like separates in like drawn in the corporate attire. Like there's a lot of stuff
mostly
like
just like casual suits, or are you talking
it's
about
most I mean I've seen
stuff?
maybe it's like a gray flannel suit and there's like DBs, but I tried my best, and maybe there's like photographs that I couldn't find, but like in terms of like apparel arts, I could not find an illustration of like gray pants with a blue jacket or something like that within like an office, like a fake office setting. It's almost always some form of a suit. And like we said, like business, it's a different purpose in menswear, like you can, or the menswear as fashion, it's about like a cohesive, streamlined look. You want to look powerful, commanding. And we know some people argue that looking fashionable is a bad thing because it shows that your mind is in other places other than business. You don't want to project.
I'm not thinking about my damn tie. I'm thinking about numbers.
I want to talk about profit and loss, P&Ls.
I don't want to talk about. I'm trying to think of a menswear thing that could be P&L. I'm not talking about pinstripes and
linen.
Linen? I'm not talking about pinstripe and linen, baby. I'm talking about profits and losses.
I'm not talking about EBITDA. EBITDA? You guys know that?
I don't know that.
Earnings before depreciation.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like pre-tax income, like before all the stuff's taken out. Sorry.
Well, there you go. Remember that for your next job interview, everybody.
Yeah, say it just like I did with the most uncertainty in that phrase. But yeah, it's just kind of it's meant to corporate attire is just so anti-fashion, but it can also be informed by fashion too, because as we see in like lapels and everything, like you don't want to look dated. I really don't.
It's about like it's about looking. I think like looking smart, which part of that is keeping up a little bit with fashion. You don't want to look unfashionable, but you don't want to look like
too fashion forward,
too fashionable. You just exactly. It's about looking like straight down the middle, like very clean, very smart.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like maybe business attire has lost its sense of like tradness to it. I feel like as things have gotten more casual. Okay, this is intro. Okay, here we go. As things have gotten more casual, it makes business attire become more formal. So like you lose out, like, because like, oh, it's a Thursday, I can wear this tweed jacket, because now that you can invest more money in your casual clothing, when you wear a suit, it has to be like a worsted or something, like you don't, that idea of like the OCBD as office attire, which was common, again, at least when you look at popular culture, OCBDs, whatever, when tailoring, now it's like spread collars or nothing. Like business attire is like, if you're gonna suit up, it has to be formal, or if you're not gonna do that, then you might as well do the whole tech bro hoodie Patagonia thing. There's for some reason this demise of the corporate dress code has resulted in like just stark differences in different in formality levels. It's either you gotta be super casual or super formal. There is no in between.
And we've talked about this, how the suit is just becoming something that you either wear if you work in an office, or if you're a lawyer or politician, or something you wear to weddings, and that's it. It's just going to be it's just going to be more and more like formal. And you're gonna get less and less casual details.
Exactly.
And everything.
And so like I think that's why when guys wear it, they, especially for business, they want to be boring. There is no like they don't want any indication of it trying to be casual or even trying to be too trendy. Of course, that has also changed, because nowadays I think suits have come back in a little bit of a sense for office attire, but that's when you get the guy wearing it with like white sneakers at the office. Well,
I think even this is just like if I spend time in like downtown Santa Ana by the courthouse, I'll see a bunch of lawyers. I feel like people now just have fun not with their suits or shirts or ties, but with dumbass accessories. So they'll have like a pair of like Star Wars Darth Vader cufflinks, or as we said at the top, fun socks. And that's how people have fun now. They're still wearing a very boring suit or sport coat or whatever, but yeah, they have some dumbass Wookiee cufflinks.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, it's weird that they don't want to mess with the actual piece itself. And as we talked about in merch, sometimes the best way to signal your interest is to literally wear a thing with that piece of IP on it. Like, I mean, it's just wild. I mean, it could just be like, you know, difference of approach to clothing. But yeah, it's just interesting that people decide to do that. And maybe that even reinforces the self that, like, you know, like, oh, I can only wear the plain suit, but I'm only afforded like the sock or the cufflink or the pocket square to stand out, as opposed to like, okay, what do I like from like a shirt and tie? And the interesting thing is, maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it's like when that's corporate attire, man, I feel like people aren't going to care that wearing a brown suit. Like, it's crazy. We were talking about this in the Discord last time, which is great because I did want to bring this up. But it's like, you know, in this weird nebulous world that's oftentimes hypothesized and fake, but like men seemingly can't wear a check sport coat, but yet they can simultaneously wear Darth Vader socks. Like, I don't know what world this is where people don't understand. Like, you know, they can't do that.
I think we probably can get into, you know, the biggest thing that we get whenever we talk about suits as fashion is like, oh, you know, I can't wear this in the office. So we can talk a little bit about what people can wear. So obviously, like, people tend to recommend for business suits, you go either charcoal or navy. Ethan and I would argue that, like, yeah, a dark charcoal brown or a somber, like, dark olive, I think those would both be fine in the office.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people would disagree. And maybe it's because we do not work in a conservative office. But if it's a dark, somber color, I think you're fine.
Yeah, it's
like,
also
people point to the 1950s and 60s as like the most, you know, the man in the gray flannel suit, most conformist time for men's dress. People were still wearing brown and green suits into the office then.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, they still had like gabardine suits also. Like, it's not that crazy. People still wore collar bars, and you think, oh, that's so old. Man, you look at like 70s, 80s stuff, like the movie, like Office Space. I think one of the characters is wearing a fucking collar bar the whole time.
Well, I think he's supposed to look like dated and like old school, I think.
But that's like the whole thing. Like, you know, like honestly, like, you know, like, oh, I can't wear wide fits, dude. Your fucking boss is probably wearing pleated pants, man. Like, it's not out of the realm of incredulity that you can do these things, you know. I definitely think that with a lot of what happens with the hashtag Menswear is that because a lot of the discussion happens on paper, people are automatically like wary of it, right? Like on paper, yeah, a brown suit to the office, crazy. But I'm pretty sure like your boss has worn like a dark brown jacket that he got like 20 years ago, and he just wears that, you know.
Exactly. People are like thinking like, yeah, like a rustic like tweed brown, but it's, I mean, hey, there's more than 50 shades of every color.
Not every brown suit is made of tweed. Like, it's, you
exactly,
know?
Yeah. So yeah, just gotta be smart with color.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and this also reminds me of like how like, oh, OCBDs, you can't wear that to the office. It's like, what? Like, people have been wearing OCBDs to the office since the dawn of time, man. Like, it's absolutely crazy that some people have this weird idea of what corporate attire is. And
I think the problem is menswear people think that everyone knows as much about menswear as they do. So they would look at a OCBD, like they think an average person could look at an OCBD and say, wait a minute, that's a casual shirt. What the hell are you wearing that for? When I don't think people know enough about menswear to understand that an OCBD is more casual. Yeah. They just think it's a shirt with buttons on the collar. Like that's what they think. That's
also it's just, plenty of office guys out there that I've... Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen office guys where they don't even button it down. They just leave
exactly.
It. Yeah.
That's what so many guys did at J. Crew. Like, as soon as they tried on a shirt, they would like unbutton the collar and be like, "Okay, ready to go." And I tried to tell them, "Oh no, that's supposed to be done," and they were like, "Oh, I don't like that." Then don't buy a shirt with buttons, bro. It's that easy.
It's, you know, I mean, again, we're not like, we don't work in fucking like, what's it called? I can only
What
think
is
of
it
Lehman
called?
Brothers. What's a big Ernst Young? We're not like consultants. Also, man, they're like influencers who are like consultants. Man, they're wearing sweatpants, dude. Like, it's not like, I don't know where this corporate thing is going. I feel like so much of what we do, people would not fucking care. Like,
Hmm.
obviously within reason. We're not saying wear M43 pants to the office, but people are gonna be like, oh, Stofa peached cotton trousers, cotton pants. Your boss is gonna send you home, bro. If you're thinking
No one's
like
gonna
that,
notice.
no one's gonna
And all
notice.
and also, like, what office just has like enough workers that they can afford to like send somebody home for the day because they're wearing the wrong kinds of pants, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all those things and when you look at like Instagram too, like all those big influencers used to be office guys. You're all like lawyers or whatever. Like what's it called? I wasn't he spoke style lawyer. I forgot who was the lawyer, but it's like these guys who oftentimes I would never wear like a gingham pocket square coming the fuck out of my
Hmm.
pocket with like a super tight jacket. Like those guys went to the
Yeah.
office like
All
that.
those accounts of guys holding cigars and like posing so you could see the watch and the like badge on their steering wheel, they are all like finance guys or lawyers or whatever, and that's how they dress.
Yeah, it's baffling to me. Even and the thing is, the more I meet people, the more I realize like I could wear what I wear to the office. And Spencer and I have wide wardrobes, and I understand that maybe everyone out there is a little bit more careful because they're smaller wardrobes and they're not, maybe everything is more invested. So I get that, but um, like let's take our friend Michael, who is an intern at the DA's office, and he has said like, dude, no one dresses up. It's a government job. Yeah, dress. I mean, he says dress up like talking
Yeah.
like pinstripe suit or whatever to the thing. People don't do that. He's able to wear a cotton suit to the office,
And it's
navy
a chore
cotton.
suit. It's not even, yeah, it's a cotton chore suit.
Yeah, it's not even
It's
like
like
my
all,
Atelier Fugue, which looks like an Italian. It's in that style. It is like a chore suit. It's a little bit shorter. The edge, like the quarter, is a little bit more squared off compared to like a
it has
rounded
like
quarter.
patch pockets, I think, too,
Yeah,
right?
patch pockets and everything. Hardy cotton, and he does it in navy. Wears it with a button-down collar or sometimes a spread collar, plain tie, penny loafers, navy socks to complete like the very
Hmm.
monochromatic look here. He's fine. He's in fact he says he might be the most dressed up person there. We there's a guy Damon that we know who he gets bespoke made peak lapel kind of Tom Ford style Edward Sexton, strong shoulders, you know, spread collar, minimal Macclesfield ties with like bit loafers, and he's like, I do it because I can, and
Hmm.
and he of course there's an idea that you want to look strong to, and we'll get to that in a second. And I think he does that, but he's like, yeah, most lawyers 2-button suits, they're just plain black, gray. Maybe sometimes you get like the the electric blue. That's more
Yeah.
so like real estate agent, but like sometimes you get more of that, and it's just proof that sometimes you just wear it and people won't care, and maybe it might even help you kind of show some personality.
Well, because
Like
there
I'm
are going to
pretty
be some offices
yeah.
where, yeah, showing, like, standing out a little bit might be a good thing, but there are other offices where you probably want to fit in more.
Yeah, and
Um,
like we said with authenticity, your gut will tell you what's appropriate for what
yeah.
you can do. Like just because I do it, just because Damon or something does it, doesn't mean that gives you a pass to try it. We want to encourage you, but we're not your coworkers, we're not your boss. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Hmm.
Feel free to push the boundaries within reason. You know.
Yeah.
But in general, I really don't think like, the guys who go to the armory and buy stuff, like I'm pretty sure the armory is not gonna let you, like, they're not gonna sell something super crazy, And I've heard this idea that for retailers, you go out there with 100% you, and you hope that your customer gets 70% because they're not gonna be sold on the entire thing. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure if you go to the armory, the guys who are shopping there, they might not be buying like the fucking Panama hat, but maybe they'll be buying like the fucking like ring jacket 3-button navy blue sport coat, or with a very minimal check. That's more often what we're gonna see. And honestly, though, a lot of the photos of #Menswear that people love are pretty safe, man. At least in the heyday of like 2015 to 2018, the post,
not like the pity peacock stuff. But,
yeah, but like all stuff of like the Armory being Jake Grantham. Like, I'm pretty sure you could wear all that shit. Like, they're pretty damn safe, especially Anglo-Italian. I think Anglo-Italian is like probably the best example of like how to be like #Menswear, pleated, kind of a high waist, soft shoulder, but then somber English palette. Like Jake does not wear like a red blazer. He doesn't wear like, fucking like orange tweeds. He's wearing like dark flannels, charcoal gray, maybe brown,
navies.
Blue shirts, like, maybe it's a knit tie. I feel like, again, I would be very hard pressed to work in that, to find a job that would, be against what Jake is wearing.
Well, I think we've been talking about this hypothetical office where people are like, that's too casual, but I think a lot of what people are dealing with now is something like that being too formal for the office. Oh,
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because as we said, or as I said, like, there are a lot of places where you're going to maybe want to fit in more, and if everyone is wearing the gingham shirt with the blue pants and tan shoes, maybe you don't want to show up in a full two-piece. If it's just one of those things where you're gonna have to kind of evaluate it for yourself.
Right. I mean, it's one of those things too where like, I don't think we subscribe to like a step-by-step of how to dress kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But in that situation, I could definitely see where maybe you have to ease your office into it. We obviously aren't afforded that challenge, so we can't really say like, sometimes it's like, oh, I'm gonna wear a beret today, I'm just gonna throw it on and see what happens. Maybe before you get there, you have to wear a knit cap to the office. It's like, I don't think that like, you could go straight to whatever you want outside of the office, but there's that essence of trying to figure stuff out, and it could be kind of like, and that idea isn't really new. I mean, it's like, for me, the closest I have to maybe a corporate like mindset is like maybe like dating, where you have to find out what works on a date, what might be too much and everything. But like I said, I think your gut will help you there. And I think with casual offices, it's that I think what the cool thing is that it means that you're able to go backwards by introducing tailoring to casual pieces, as opposed to introducing casual pieces to tailoring. That's something I think I talked about, or a comment said. No, JTR said this in response to the permanent style essay, or the interview that I had with Simon, and that's very true. So I think when we look at stuff like that, I think of like Ryan, right, where he is an illustrator, works cartooning departments, where and we have another illustrator in our Discord where people wear like t-shirts, hoodies, whatever, and so maybe in adding a tailored part to it is maybe the kind of move there, where like, oh, maybe you wear a hoodie, but you do it like our friend John, where you do the hoodie with like a blazer, kind of a fun look, and you still keep everything else casual. You still maybe wear jeans, maybe like a pair of like loafers, or like canvas sneakers, and the next time maybe, oh, you do like a Madras shirt tucked into jeans. Like, oh, everyone else is wearing jeans, maybe everyone else is wearing gingham shirts, but then you're wearing Madras as like a different way of doing that. There's definitely, I honestly, like I said, like, Spencer and I, this podcast isn't about saying you should do this, but it's about finding what could work on your own. We think you guys are smart enough to figure it out and to kind of parcel out, the right way to do it.
Something that I like about just I always find, I've talked about the quote unquote like journalist like uniform before, and something that I always think is cool about that is just this is like a very like mid-century idea, and journalists don't really dress like this anymore. Yeah. But I like the forced practicality of taking Ivy stuff or just like office wear, and you have to take it out on the field or whatever. And so this is a very romantic idea that exists like mostly in like movies and stuff like that. I'm not really planning at this point of going into the journalism industry, just because it's not a very good job market right now.
Yeah.
But I still find that idea and that look very, very cool, of just taking, just like taking office wear and forcing it into a more rugged circumstance.
Right. I mean, I remember when we watched The Post and we saw like that guy wearing like a field jacket over the OCBD. I think that was really cool.
Or like the chambray with like like a soft shoulder sport coat that he has all his equipment stuffed into. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's, and hopefully people kind of get that look. Again, this is all stuff that has to be done in person, right? Like, I think that a lot of people question the idea of a brown suit until they see a good one done. I think, I mean, to their credit, right? Like, yeah, you probably have that dude in the office wearing a tweed jacket with like a bow tie, and it's like, then that might have ruined it. And the stories of that guy might have ruined the idea of you wanting to wear a brown jacket. But I think that if you just get a little classic Ethan arrogance and just fucking show them how it's done, that it might be a good way. Like if I in the show notes that I have for this, I've included a lot of looks from me that I think are kind of safe, that at least in a general sense. Obviously, maybe not London high street finance banker thing, but maybe more like mid-sized California thing where I am embracing being that guy, but like I'm not wearing like a bow tie. I'm still doing it business. And I think honestly my outfits, Spencer should know this, like you too, where my approach to tailoring is still very like 30s business attire. It's still like, it's not like, there's a little bit of creativity, there's a little a lot of mid-century artists, whatever, but in general, most of my tailoring is still very like safe. Like I personally don't wear like plaid suits. I don't like plaid suits. I prefer wearing solid suits and then wearing it with a striped shirt and foulard tie. And I'm pretty sure people don't care. People won't really notice it. And I think, I think I'm a good worker in that, like, maybe if my shoulders are soft, my work is strong. I don't have to compensate for my, for a lack of job enthusiasm by wearing like a super broad shouldered kind of a thing. Because, and maybe we can get into this, corporate attire is meant to make you look stronger. So I see avoiding anything that makes you look weaker, not just in terms of like, dressing creatively, but like, we've talked to Kiyoshi about this, where a soft shoulder to some people is noticeable. I question exactly how much, but when you look in terms of cleanness, padded shoulder is probably a better.
The built up shoulder gives you it gives you like a more defined figure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's also, unfortunately, maybe I'm just blessed to have a nice shoulder line, but not every guy out there has the shoulders to pull off or to get the best effect from a soft shoulder. For me, even though my shoulders are sloped, I think even with padding, I look too square. So I think soft shoulders is fine, but it doesn't look like, it's not like wrinkly or whatever. I also don't like going overboard with like La Spalla Camicia, where it's like, oh, there's a lot of pleating. I think it's still perfectly safe, and I think like our friend Ryan, again, same thing here too, where he wears like chinos with a blazer, maybe like a fun Drake's tie with a plain OCBD. Ivan is very trad salaryman. And the fun thing there, instead of, and maybe we can encourage this, instead of wearing like fun socks, he wears like a cartoon pin in his lapel, which is a little bit more interesting. It's kind of like merch, right? Like, you go to these like comic arts places that I've been to with him, and artists sell enamel pins, which I think is really cool. So that's a good way of like signaling that. And but he still wears like a soft jacket, but he's not, like Sid Mashburn jackets I think aren't as soft as like a ring jacket where it's like super extended and super sloped. There's still a little bit of American tradness to them. I think that guys like Juniors, right, like by Glenn, it's still Ivy, it's still 3-year-old too, but it still looks very safe. Like it's not like it's a natural shoulder, but it's like the 60s Brooks one where it's not like unstructured, right?
Exactly.
And I think you can still exude power in that,
I mean, I think that we had a suggestion for an episode all about color theory, but yes. I think the colors can help out with that. If you are wearing if you're wearing a dark suit, a dark somber suit, and you have like a white tie, or sorry, white shirt, and just like a dark solid tie, you're gonna look very put together. You're gonna look very competent. Like I said at the beginning, you're just gonna look smart.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's I definitely this writing this essay was a fun challenge, and also dressing for it too. I got to break out like some solid outfits that I think in my head I'd be fine. Like if I wore this to work, I would actually look pretty formal, obviously, compared to like my separates that I normally do. But it's sometimes it's fun to kind of do it. I think also corporate attire, thinking about stuff in those terms isn't a bad thing. I think. Maybe for me, it's like coming full circle where like at first, I'm going to wear separates all the time. I don't even want a solid suit right now. I want to wear check jackets and gray pants because I want to avoid those connotations. And now I'm like, I actually like looking, put together, kind of easier. And again, I think we've said this before, suits are easier to wear because it takes the idea of matching jackets and pants out of the equation because they're one set, And
I think I mean, looking good, I in my opinion, has a big psychological effect just on like how you work. I think I've said this before on the podcast or the stream, but I have to be dressed up. Not dressed up. I just have to be dressed if I'm going to get anything done. So I start my day, I wake up and I shower and I get dressed before I, make breakfast, before I start working. Just because if I'm sitting there in like pajamas or whatever, I just don't feel ready. Yeah. And it's again, I don't have to wake up and put on a suit. Right now I'm just wearing a button down and shorts. But I got dressed, I brushed my teeth and everything. I feel more ready now that I'm not in my pajamas.
And I know we're still afforded a lot of privilege to be able to do that, but I think if you have that idea of what makes you feel good, what excites you, especially after you've listened to our authenticity, where you like something, you'll find a way to kind of add it to the office. I think that you shouldn't feel like you have to adhere to the dress code. You think, tech bro, I gotta wear the padded coat, you gotta do this, gotta do this stuff. But I feel like I've met a couple of tech bros, like Young Chomsky. I mean, Young Chomsky is a good example of an ex-tech bro. We got our friend Marco. There are guys out there who are able to kind of do it, and I don't think it affects their job performance. I don't think it affects their what their perception is and everything. Mm-hmm. And also, not to be mean, but man, you're not working at a big four company. Chances are, if you're a regular dude, you're probably working at just a regular place, and regular places don't often really care, small business stuff. It's not a big deal. Accountants, you can't say accountants can't dress like that. When I met an accountant who wore a fucking polo shirt with a fucking beeper, on a Zoom meeting, it's not I think people idealize this idea of what business attire should be, and they want to be the most correct of it, and they're missing just how normal it is. There are guys out there still who dress like the 90s, and the kind of fun, wild stuff. Pastors who typically, at least, conservative pastors dressed in business attire still look like the 90s. My pastor at my family's church looks like he wears the same low buttoning DB black suit, with a red shirt and a fucking not an Armani tie, but a whatever Roger Talbot knockoff it was,
Yeah.
People do it all the time. Look at what people wear to church, It's there is there's a high chance that you'll be able to do what you like at your job. And maybe it's because, like most of our other podcast episodes, the guys who have this are usually students, and they haven't really gone out there yet. And I think most people who dress like us, and who are older than us, have found out that you can really wear whatever you want. Ryan has a seersucker suit. He can wear probably the jacket and a chambray shirt, black knit tie, gray trousers to the office, and it's just a fun summer look. Guys still wear it. For a long time, tan suits were office attire for spring summer. There are plenty of pictures of those Italian industrialists that Kiyoshi has shared that I went through. It's a cool Tumblr where when you look at these rich guys, they're still wearing fun stuff. It's crazy to me. People say, I can't wear a foulard tie, and man, that's what every like office dude that's
Yeah.
like 40 to 60 years old is wearing.
Or you talked about wearing tan suits in the office. And the reason people were wearing tan suits or white suits or whatever is because in the days before fucking AC, that's just what you wore when it was hot out. And even though we have central air now, if it's hot, wouldn't it be nicer to wear like a tan chino suit or like a linen suit to the office, even if it's more formal or casual? I mean, it's just, it's coming back to practicality.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think people technically kind of notice. I mean, like, honestly, if you bought a pair of dead stock or reproduction World War II chinos and some guys wearing like 90s Dockers, like your boss wearing, like no one's gonna know, man. And it's comfortable. Chinos are like kind of like they're good uniform. I think that maybe the internet has kind of ruined what the perception is, not just in terms of the discourse behind corporate attire, but just in like convincing yourself that it's possible, and again, feel free to disagree with us, but we've met a lot of people, even in the Discord, some people have safe jobs or work in the government or whatever, and they still can wear a lot of wild stuff. But maybe we can close off with a couple of ways, or what were you saying, Spencer?
Well, I think we're probably on the same page, but I was going to say, I mean, if you work in like a more casual office, it's, so easy to look good. And that's just by doing just like Ivy looks.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Were you going to just, suggest like what people can actually wear or what we would personally suggest?
What I was going to say is, like at the top, I said that a lot of what the big menswear guys do, and I'm talking about like Andreas Wynas, Mark Cho. I would even say Mark Cho might not be a good one. Alan C, I think, is probably the more safer dresser out of the Armory guys. And I think if you just follow like stuff like that, and Alan, according to old interviews, worked for like a supply chain like corporation. So like he's probably pretty well versed, especially in the early days of the Armory, where he only where he was still working at that place full time, or I think, or whatever. There's a lot of good business attire inspiration to be had from that. And when you look at it, it's really like, very minimal striped shirts, foulard ties, again, English matter stuff, spread collar shirts, but there are ways to kind of do that. I think menswear does have a lot of, great ideas that you can pull into for corporate attire, again dependent on where you work, but it's not that crazy, and a lot of that stuff is technically based, as Spencer said, on Ivy. These guys, you don't have to wear, I mean in fact I hate it. I hate like the Charvet like plain weave, or like just like the weave is interesting, but like it's a plain solid tie. I think those suck, but like nothing's wrong with like a striped tie, like not like a super crazy deco stripe from like the 30s, but like just like a Brooks Brothers regimental tie that is like straight up office attire. That white shirt, navy suit, like you're fucking fine, man. I would even say like investing more in like black base rep stripe ties, I think, is a good way to kind of add in the somberness to it. Right? Black, cool. Instead of a black knit, maybe like a black grenadine, where it just looks more formal. You don't have the square end of it, that's still kind of Ivy, Ivy removed, postmodern, whatever, but it's evoking that idea because people wore black knit ties to the office a long time ago. Maybe nowadays where knit ties are rarer and they're seen as hipster, black grenadine, a good way. Navy grenadine ties, solid navy ties, I think, are underrated. I've been wearing those too, Again, charcoal brown suits, I think, are a good way to introduce color to it without having to just do charcoal gray, mid gray, or blue. And if we want to talk about power, again, I can't compare this to like a super corporate thing where maybe you're going up against like $8,000 suits, but wearing something like ring jacket, I honestly, with the broad shoulders and everything, looks way better than a Hugo Boss suit. I think that this is just me being biased here, like I always am. But to me, the fullness of the chest there, like the extended shoulder, the wider lapels, it just feels more substantial. And if you want to look like you are, more powerful, more put together, looking like that looks way better than a 2-button slim lapel jacket. What do you call it? Anemic lapels. But like there are ways to to kind of do that. When guys out there for corporate style today are still wearing 2-button jackets with like super slim ties, having something that's a little more classic, more robust, in the same vein that you, Spencer and I do it, I honestly think are more, quote, masculine, more corporate, more strong in the vibes than, hashtag 2010 Menswear Ludlow suits. You know what I mean? Like there's just more gravitas to it that I think is more palatable.
We make fun of the slim shirts with blue pants and tan shoes a lot. And it just looks terrible. Like no one looks good, or people don't look good in that look. It does not have the same,
it's just
power
so
that other looks. And we don't. I think Ethan and I both have, I guess, pretty traditionally masculine style, but obviously not everyone has to dress like that. But it's. Looking quote unquote powerful and competent in the office is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so honestly, like,
keep in mind.
Yeah, again, like, when Spencer and I get tailored, and by tailored I mean like tie and everything, we're pretty safe, I think, in most part. Like, we do. There are times when we are wearing like military pants, ripped jeans with stuff, but like that's for fun. Like that's not a corporate look for us. I think honestly, like if Spencer and I, as we get older, and you'll probably see it if you keep following us over the years, as we get older and we have to maybe edit our style, you'll see it. You'll see how we're able to kind of mix this stuff together. Again, I would say look at the posts or the pictures I've included. I've done my best to kind of show that the ideas that we have for classic menswear that we still look at for inspiration are translatable to corporate attire. Obviously, try and find the way that makes it work for you, but you can't really go wrong with navy suit, striped shirt, and like a minimally striped or a foulard tie. Like I think even looking at guys like at J Muser, Matt Woodruff, I think has gotten a significantly much more somber style than his Drake's days, and I think it's really good corporate inspiration. Like maybe you have to make a couple edits. Maybe don't wear wallabies with your like dark charcoal gray suit, but wear it with like bit loafers. That's a big thing too. I think loafers are still business attire. They've always been business attire for the most part. They make fun of like how black tassels and black bits were like an 80s, 90s like Wall Street guy meme, right? And you can still do that today. And of course, there's nothing else wrong with lace-ups too. Spencer and I still wear lace-ups. I like wearing lace-ups now, which is crazy that I've like started to go in that direction. But there is always that idea that you'll know what's going to be good for corporate attire. And it's good to know that there's, technically, like I said, years of Western wear, Western civilization has been based on business attire. And more often than not, people will notice the fact that you're just wearing a suit and not like, oh, you're wearing an Italian suit and not a British suit or something, But yeah, hopefully this discussion was a little interesting for you guys. I hope that you guys are able to kind of try this out for yourself, and feel free to tell us, DM us, or come on stream on the chat to like let us know how you wear for
if you have a job where none of this is hypothetical like it is for us, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we're happy to be wrong on this kind of a thing, because again, I've met an IT manager who wears bespoke clothing, bespoke wrinkles. You can look him up on, I think, Styleform, or just look him up on Google. He wears like Steed. We have like Daniel, Urban Minivan, who fucking wears some great. He sold all his suits because now he just wears like 18 East and shit. He's a corporate lawyer. Granted, might be for a cooler company and not like a typical corporate thing, but there are still, guys all over that I've met or that we've seen that are able to kind of do this. Olaf, 1982, I don't know what his full Instagram handle was. He doesn't really post much anymore. But, like, he would wear, like, flannel Liverano jackets with, like, a Drake's tie and, like, jeans, and maybe that's, like, his casual thing. But, like, you can wear that. Maybe wear it for, like, a casual Friday or, like, an outing, business lunch or whatever. And I think a lot of people, again, don't understand that these discussions on paper are only on paper until you do it, because I have seen a lot of double pattern mixing, striped shirt with pattern tie, on a lot of business guys, I feel. And for me, editing that to be more bold, awning stripes for me, and like more exploded geometrics, is just my approach to that corporate look. But there are you can also do it the boring way, or well, not to be mean, but the boring way as well.
Yeah.
There are still plenty of ways that these guys are able to show that they like menswear and keep it safe. It just takes a little bit of effort, as everything we've done talks about, as we've said with everything before. And there is no cheat code. There is no perfect business attire, but that's what makes clothing fun. And why not try and include it in your in your everyday corporate look? Because if not, I don't know, fucking quit your job, bro. Just find
your
a new
job.
Yeah.
Work for us.
We're hiring. We're not paying anything, but we're hiring.
We're hiring, and you're just gonna like, I don't know, just get coffee for us. Just be our intern.
Yeah, drive from where you are to give us coffee, then go home.
You have to drive from where you are to Orange County, and then to Pasadena, and then back to your home.
Yeah. You just to have we'll keep you guys in a little like box in our in our house,
right in between Pasadena and Found Valley. We'll find out what city is directly in between those two. Yeah. And then you'll be able to come to us whenever we need you.
Yeah, we do need you.
I'm gonna look up. Okay.
Is that where MJ's gonna have to live? Producer
That's
MJ?
where he's gonna have to live.
Technically, you're gonna be all of our interns, so then you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to find a way to go to Glendale too. But
so the halfway point between, so they're gonna have to live in Bellflower. Between Orange County and, like, between you and me, it's Bellflower, California. So, I hope you like Bellflower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bell it up, baby.
Yeah, they got a breakfast joint over there. They got Poached Kitchen. I'm just seeing a bunch of restaurants in Bellflower now.
Well, see, why wouldn't you move to Bellflower then?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? There's restaurants in Bellflower. What more could you want?
Anyway, guys, thank you for listening to the episode. Again, we will be discussing this on stream this Sunday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Streams will be on Sundays moving forward. You can also catch it on youtube.com/downdirection after the fact. Lots of our VODs are there. And if you want to talk about this with us directly, I mean, other than the chat, there's another way to chat with us. More like Discord with us. Discourse? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Join our Discord. Patreon.com/styleanddirection. $5 gets you access to the Discord plus a bonus episode. And $10, that's our special boy tier. And that's where you get all that, plus we say your name.
Should we rename it Sadcast Fanatics to the Special Boy?
The Special Boy? I mean, do we still have Audrey? So it can't have to be special people.
That's right. Well, thank you to Austin, Malat, Shin Curry, Philip Gagard, Audrey Jessica, Jeremy Ostreicher, and Jarrett Colian. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for being our top tier patrons, our Sadcast fanatics. We join us twitch.tv/styleanddirection. What else? There's really nothing else. I mean, we hope you guys enjoy.
We're taking, as we said at top, a little bit of a break just to, kind of our Style and Direction summer vacation. #Style and Direction summer vacation. Get that trending. Right. But we will be back with more episodes.
Yeah, in August. We've got some more stuff planned for you guys for the rest of the year. And of course, in our Discord or even on our Instagram, Style and Direction, all spelled out. Feel free to send us ideas for topics. We really enjoy that kind of stuff. And this wouldn't have happened unless people just talked about corporate attire and what to wear to work. And the answer is we don't know and we don't care because we don't have to deal with it. Just like everything else. If you'd like
to hear us talk about things we do care about, listen to every other episode, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Big ups to MJ for producing the podcast. Don't get on mic. I'm Ethan M. Wong.
I'm Spencer DSO. That's my Instagram.
That's yeah. I mean, I am my Instagram.
It is still my name, but it's my name and initials, not just like my name.
My name
By name? Oh, we need to make the Borat emoji.
Yeah, we gotta add it in. Hopefully by this episode, when this comes out, that's gonna be out there. Okay. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.